Hello, everybody. My name is Lane Donnelly. I am the Physician-in-Chief and Chief Medical Officer for the Morris Children's Hospital here in Orlando, Florida. I'm also a pediatric radiologist by background, and I also administer the radiology services for the Morris system. I am talking to you about the topic today in my capacity as a trustee for the American Board of Radiology and my involvement in the MOC process. The topic of my talk, for which we will be talking for the next approximately 20 minutes, is maintenance of certification. What does the ABR expect from radiologists, and what are the PQI projects for radiologists? Next slide. I did want to disclose that these slides are true through May of 2013. As we all know, there are lots of changes with the maintenance of certification process. And if you are viewing this at some time in the future, some of these things may no longer be true. So the outline for what we're going to talk about today is the 4 parts of maintenance of certification, what changes have occurred in 2013 for self-assessment credits, what are PQI projects and some of the details around that, public reportings of MOC status, which is new in 2013, continuous certification and what that means, what we foresee coming for maintenance of certification in 2015, and then group maintenance of certification administration and changes to the online ABR access referred to as My ABR. Next slide. Maintenance of certification has 4 parts, as you all know. There is part 1, which is professional standing, part 2, lifelong learning and self-assessment, part 3, cognitive expertise, and part 4, practice quality improvement. We will review each of those in some detail. Next slide. Part 1, professional standing. This basically means that you have to demonstrate that you have an active state medical license in at least one state. If you do so, then you meet part 1 of professional standing. That's pretty simple. Part 2 is lifelong learning and self-assessment. And this refers to making sure that you have enough CME credit, as well as a portion of that being the appropriate number of SAMs, or self-assessment modules. There were some changes that are now in effect starting in 2013 regarding the number of self-assessment credits that you need and what those self-assessment credits can consist of. So basically now, for every rolling 3 years, you need to have at least 75 Category 1 CME credits. And of those 75 credits, a third of them, or 25, must be self-assessment credits. Now, self-assessment credits still include the SAMs that we've all become used to, but in addition to that, now any enduring Category 1 CME credits, so basically online things and journal-based CME, are considered enduring, and those two as well, in addition to SAMs, now can count towards the 25 of the 75 credits that need to be self-assessment credits. Just a word about society deemed status for SAMs. As many of you know, societies can put together SAMs for their annual meetings, and now instead of having to have every single SAM that a society puts together approved by the ABR, those societies can apply for deemed status if they meet certain criteria outlined here in this slide. And if they do so, then they can deem and approve SAMs in their areas of expertise. Part 3 of maintenance certification is cognitive expertise. And this is evaluated through a proctored secure exam. And you have to take at least one ABR examination every 10 years or less. And that is basically, if you've taken past that test, you have met part 3 of maintenance certification. Part 4 of maintenance of certification, and an area we'll spend a little bit more time, is practice quality improvement, also referred to as PQI. And a word about PQI projects. There is a very nice document that's available through the ABR website called Maintenance and Certification Part 4, ABR Guide to Practice Quality Improvement. This document outlines many of the details that you need to know to make sure you are appropriately meeting Part 4 Maintenance and Certification. Now, for PQI projects, there's some basic elements that need to be present. You have to select a project, pick the metrics that you're going to measure related to that project, and then establish a goal. You need to collect or evaluate existing baseline data, create an improvement plan, and then remeasure after implementation of that improvement plan. And then self-reflect after you've had that remeasurement and evaluation upon if any further action is necessary. The quality improvement process used by the ABMS and ABR for practice quality improvement is the Plan, Do, Study, Act, or PDSA model. There are sort of cookbooks also available through the ABR website and checklists on how to do either group or individual PQI projects. And again, those are a very useful reference when you were trying to put one of these projects together. Next slide. PQI projects can be either individual, group, or one of the things that's in development now is institutional PQI projects. So what does that mean exactly? Individual PQI projects are done by a single individual. Group projects, a group consists of 2 or more ABR diplomats. On the next slide. Group project team leader is designated, and that person is responsible for organizing their team, creating the minutes, doing any record keeping, and amongst other things, must document team participation. Again, all of these details around group PQI projects are outlined in the ABR document that I previously referred, available online. One of the things that is required if you're going to do a group project is that you have to have at least 3 key meetings. One meeting around project organization, one around data and root cause analysis, and one meeting around developing the improvement plan. And attendance needs to be documented in each of those meetings. Next slide. PQI projects also have the ability either to be original in the sense that your group decides what one of the significant issues that you face clinically and then put a plan together to try to deal with that particular topic. Or they're also templated, pre-made, and pre-ABR approved projects. And those projects are typically society sponsored, and there are projects available through the RSNA, the ACR, the ASNR, and the ASPNR, as well as entities such as UCSF itself. There are also many society registries that are being created that can also be used to meet PQI project criteria. One of the things that is changing, and we'll talk more about MyABR later, is the way that you document that you are participating in a PQI project through the ABR online site. It used to be that you just attested that you were doing the project. Now you have a little bit more detail in the way that you attest. You attest to the title of your project, the duration, and which steps you have gone through in the Plan, Do, Study, Act cycle. One of the reasons why the ABR chose to move to a new format for the MyABR part of the website is because the ABMS, or American Board of Medical Subspecialties, has mandated public reporting of the maintenance and certification status for all ABMS medical boards, of which the American Board of Radiology is one. So that started on March 15, 2013, and basically all diplomats' status will be documented as meeting one of 3 requirements. Meeting the requirements of MOC, not meeting the requirements of MOC, or for those that are lifetime certificates, not required to participate in MOC. And basically, anyone can go online and check any of the ABR member diplomats' status publicly online. Another thing that has recently changed, and again partially related to public reporting, is the concept of continuous certification. So certificates given to diplomats of the ABR will no longer have a valid through date. It is that the diplomat will continuously be meeting maintenance of certification requirements. And basically, there will be annual look-backs every 3 years used to determine MOC participation status. There will be no change in maintenance of certification requirements or fees related to continuous certification. Next slide. So how does this work operationally? As you can see in this table here, in 2013, the only look-back thing needed is your licensure, as well as in 2014. 2015, then the 3-year look-back will look at licensure, CME credits, self-assessment credits, whether you've had an exam in the past 10 years, and whether you did a PQI project during those 3 years. And again, the elements that are needed for the 3-year look-back, if you look at the bottom of this slide, is licensure, at least one valid state medical license, CMEs, 75 Category 1 CMEs over the 3-year look-back, and then 25 of those need to be self-assessment types of CMEs, as we talked earlier. And then once every 10 years, you have to have taken and passed an ABR certifying or MOC examination. And then finally, you need to have completed at least one PQI project every 3 years. Some of the advantages of continuous certification for the diplomats include if you have 2 different certificates, a primary certificate in diagnostic radiology as well as a certificate of added qualifications such as in pediatric radiology, neuroradiology, or interventional radiology, now those 2 certificates are synchronized in time, so you don't have to worry about different expiration dates at different times. Other advantages include that the number of CMEs and SAMs per year is unlimited, that you may take the MOC examination at any time as long as the previous MOC exam was passed no more than 10 years ago. There is a built-in catch-up period of 1 year where you're still considered certified even after the 10 years. And it also aligns reporting more closely with CMS, the Joint Commission, and credentialing and state licensing. So there are some foreseen changes in the maintenance of certification process that will go into effect in 2015, and these are being mandated again by the American Board of Medical Subspecialties, of which the ABR is a member. We believe that maintenance of certification basics will not change, and they will basically stay as we just outlined today. They've also guaranteed that there will no longer be changes more frequently than every 5 years to the maintenance of certification process. And this is a good thing because I think we all have a little bit of change fatigue related to these processes. Some of the things we do expect to change, there will be specialty approved feedback from peers, patients, or other users about the professionalism and communication skills of the diplomats. And tools to do that may include peer assessments, 360 evaluations, or surveys. And then the other thing that we do expect to be part of the changes for 2015 is public disclosure of any conflicts of interest that the physician may have related to potential patient care. Another thing worth mentioning, a new feature that is available, is group maintenance certification administration. So basically now, departments can apply, or departments or private groups can apply for group MOC status, whereby they can designate an organizational manager, of which there's one per group, and that person can then create designated group practice administrators that can help the radiologist by inputting MOC data on behalf of the assigned diplomat. The other benefit is you do get a 10% discount on maintenance and certification fees. This will go into effect in 2014. My ABR, we've referenced the new online attestation page for the American Board of Radiology. This replaces the current PDB. The things that it also helps with is the interface for the new public website. The public has the ability to search for ABR certified diplomats. It also has the public reporting display. It has the new PQI attestation functionality as previously described. There is a customer service section. It gives agreements and attestation histories. And it also has the ability to upload documents directly into the site, such as state licenses or certificates. And it has an outline of requirements and status for each MOC component. So we hope that people find this upgrade much more useful than the previous version. So in this discussion, we've covered the 4 parts of maintenance and certification. Talked about some of the changes to self-assessment credits, some of the details around PQI projects and what's available out there, public reporting of MOC status, some of the changes related to continuous certification, and what's expected to change with maintenance and certification in 2015. We talked about some of the benefits of having a group MOC administrator, and then finally the new ABR's interface for diplomats, My ABR. Thank you very much for your attention. Have a good day.